what is a strategy? A strategy is a plan of action designed to achieve an overall aim. If we think about what the goal of testing is the drive to deliver quality to someone who matters. We combine that with strategy. Essentially, you have a plan of action for trying to figure out how you get to that level of quality for your customers or for your person who is responsible for viewing the product or using the product. So we kind of see how a strategy will essentially have you be able to create that plan of action. So with that in mind, what are some things that could potentially go wrong if we don't have a testing strategy? And this is one I would definitely love to hear some of your stories in the Q&A and the comments about what you've potentially seen gone wrong as well. So one of the first things is a true inability to show business value. And really what this means is a lot of times when we look to implement a brand new test automation solution or potentially another solution like a performance testing or browser-based testing solution, we don't take the time up front to really plan out what is the business reason for why we're doing this. Yes, it may be cool tech. Yes, it may be something that we think is awesome. It will potentially help the business. But if we don't take that time to really kind of define and tie that into business value, what we see in the industry is a lot of these automation projects wind up being canceled because there is no value when the business looks and says, we're spending this amount of money and we're not getting that much out of it. So this is definitely one of the top things we see in terms of failures when we don't have a testing strategy. The next is, without that goal, without that plan of action, it's really tough to set your lack of vision. So as we go down, we see this with a lot of automation projects, as they start being implemented, a lot of times there's a pivot or a change of either needing to bring in a brand new application to automate as part of your framework, or potentially to switch the framework technology itself. And if we don't know what our original vision was that was tied to that ROI, it's really easy to say, well, let's just go ahead and scrap it and maybe we can try something else down the road. Or we get 8 months or several years down the road and we look back and say, well, we really didn't accomplish that much because we were continually moving back and forth and we didn't have a vision that we were able to really kind of go forward with to say, should we make this change? Does it make sense for our business value as well as our vision? If we don't have that documented, it's really hard to answer that question. This one we definitely see quite a bit. We call it technology efficiency loss. And this normally comes about from where we have an idea where we want to have an automation solution. And we decide, we kind of do, a Google search and we're like, great, okay, well, we've got Selenium, right? So let's go ahead and just implement that. Well, who's going to write those scripts? Who is going to support that? Does Selenium make sense for the type of technology you're testing against? Is your application more of an API application? Does Selenium still make sense? And if you don't take the time to really write that down and have a strategy around that, what you wind up in the end is you wind up trying to, shoehorn or cram a technology into a solution that it should not be being used for. So you really want to make sure, again, Sorrow starts with that business value that helps you understand what you're trying to, accomplish from a financial or impact standpoint. It helps you understand your lack of your vision itself. And then, combined with, understanding your technology, you start to build this nice little picture of, what, the reasons why we want a testing strategy and the reasons why a testing strategy is so important. Which really kind of takes us down to, one of the biggest things that we always see. Of course, none of us have ever seen this testing squeeze. It never happens at the end of a sprint or a waterfall. Agile promised us that it was going to remove the testing squeeze. I don't know about y'all. I have yet to see that. So when it gets down to this testing squeeze, what do you cut first? Which test automation do you cut first? Which scripts do you cut first? What was the most important to test? What was tied to the business value? And without understanding that and without having something like that in the strategy, you're left scrambling to try to figure out, what do we cut, right? Where do we look? Do we just cut everything? And oftentimes that's what winds up happening is they say, well, you can't prove that any of this is valuable. You can't prove that the trail you've been following is the right one. So let's just go ahead and remove it all and we can worry about it later. So that's a really big problem when you have a lack of a testing strategy is, you're not prepared for that. You don't have the data to back it up.